What's going on, guys? Pete with Auto Repair Tips. In this video, I got a 2011 Honda Odyssey. Here's what's going on with this one. Customer says in 3 months, he's put 4 alternators on it. He's got 2 under warranty and had to pay for it twice. So after the 4th alternator went out, he brought it to me to look at. He says, man, I'm just tired of wasting money on this thing. See, can you figure it out? So we're going to take a look at it. It's either going to be aftermarket crap alternators are putting in, or he's got some kind of wiring issue going on. So that being said, let's get into it. What I'm going to do first is throw the meter on it before I go get all the tools. Also, I made sure I charged the battery up so the battery is sitting at 100%. But again, using a meter, it should be somewhere between 13.5 and above. This is just a quick way of testing it without pulling all the stuff out. We were sitting at 14.0 volts. This thing is charging. So let's do this. Oh, we're dropping at 13.2, 12, 12.6. 12.5, 12.4. It's going down. We are not charging. It's like the alternator just kicked off. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to test it at the alternator. Let's see what that is. Still sitting at 12. So let's try this again. Let me cut this car off. Let me let it sit for a few minutes. Let's come back. Let me start it. Let's take it again. Let's test it again. And let's see, does it start off charging and just go away? All right, we're sitting at 12.5. The vehicle is not running. Let me go ahead and let me start it up now, and let's see what it jumps to. Nothing. Dead to the world. You know, it could be just crappy alternators. Let me take a look down there at that one there, and let's inspect it, and let's see if we see anything out of the ordinary. Looking at the alternator, I do see some oil right there coming out around the dipstick housing. That is on top of the alternator. No, I'm not shooting you the bird, but I'm trying to show you the oil that I wiped off. This came off the top of the alternator, so it's got quite a bit of oil dripping down inside that alternator. It wasn't just crappy aftermarket parts. It was most likely that oil leaking onto the alternator, which shorted them out. If you're doing this kind of stuff and you're at home doing it, take a second to look around. Look at your surroundings. See if you see oil leaks. See if you see oil contamination on things like that. I mean, you're just going to save yourself a lot of time and money by just taking a second and looking. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to price out an aftermarket. I'm going to price out a new one. Sometimes the prices are really close. If they're really close, we're going to go with the new one from the dealer. If they're super far apart, of course, we'll probably go with the aftermarket one, but I'm going to give the customer the option. I'm also going to buy that solenoid housing and solenoids. We're going to go back with a complete assembly on that. Let me give the guy a call. Let's see which direction he wants to go. And we'll get the parts ordered. I'll get it here, show you the parts, and we'll get them installed. Catch you in a bit. All right, so after pricing both things out, the one from the dealership, the alternator was like almost 2 times as much as the aftermarket one was. So I called the customer up, and we decided to go with the aftermarket one, lifetime warranty. The one that cost 2 times as much from the dealer was only a 1-year warranty. All right, let's go ahead and get this alternator in, and then we'll tackle that oil leak, which is destroying this alternator. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is start by getting this power steering reservoir out of the way. We're gonna clamp it off right here, disconnect it, unbolt it, and just move it out of the way. I'm hoping on this solenoid valve, it's just the upper half leaking on it. Let's go ahead and get this reservoir out of the way. This is the coolant reservoir here. There's actually a bracket that holds that coolant reservoir in. Let's go ahead and get that bracket out of the way. It's got 10 millimeter at the bottom there. Tell you what, we just got back from the weekend, and this weekend was I ain't stopped this weekend. I think I worked harder this weekend than I did all last week. And the only reason why I'm taking this bracket off is just to give me a little extra room. Ordered these gloves from Cintas, the exact same size as last time, and look how much bigger they are. Look at that. Guess it all depends on which Chinese plant built it. All right, this AC line, we're gonna snap it off here so we can move it around, and it's got one 10 millimeter bolt right here. We're gonna take it off here, and that's only to give us a little more room, wiggle room. We're working on it so we can just move this a little bit to help fight it out. All right, let's get the belt tensioner off now. It looks like about a yay size. Yay size. 50-50 shot. And I went the wrong way. This is one of them belt tensioners that are like, good gosh, pain in the ass to take off. I say a pain in the ass. Everything's a pain in the ass in these cars. Can you tell I had a rough weekend? Everything's pissed me off. There's a bracket that on top of the alternator. I'm gonna take it off. It looks like it's maybe 213s or something like that. When I get it off, I'll show it to you. I'm about ready to take these gloves and shove them up someone's butt. There are 12 looks like. And this goes on top of the alternator. And the other bracket is right here. This is the bracket that I'm talking about. If you take that bracket off, it just makes it easier on you when you go to finagle the alternator out. All right, we got that bolt out and that bolt out. Looks like maybe one more bolt down there on the bottom half of the alternator. That looks like about a 14. We'll break it loose with my long ratchet. Easier. Break it loose. All right, we got it pretty loose. Let me go ahead and get these electrical connectors off. And before I do that, we're going to disconnect the battery. We'll disconnect the ground side. That's the bottom alternator bolt. All that oil you see on there is from when I took the power steering line off. Kind of dripped down there. I'll make sure I get some brake clean and we'll clean it up real good down there before I go back with it. The best that we can. And the alternator comes straight out. All right, so this is my little rant of today. So you guys know we took over a volleyball club. I've been coaching for a lot of years. I'm 61 years old, so I've been coaching almost 40 years. This generation of kids has got to be the biggest bunch of crybabies, and the parents are crybabies also. I have never, ever seen it like this. Now I was coaching high school sports a few years back, and I could see the change now, but this generation of kids, they're coming up, and I don't raise my kids like that. My kids, and my partner, his wife, and the people we're doing the club with, his wife and him, they don't treat their kid like this. They're straight with these people, but these kids are crybabies. Oh my God. I mean, you gotta talk to them a certain way. You can't. If I give 2 negatives, I gotta have 14 positives when you're talking to them. You can't give 2 negatives and a positive in a conversation and then they just break down. We got one girl on our team. Our coach has to change his whole philosophy when he's coaching her so she don't get upset in the game. These kids here nowadays, they're a bunch of pansies. Well, that's over with. I need to get it off my chest because I'm like overly dissatisfied with the way these kids are raised nowadays. My parents, they spanked me. I had spanking. Oh God, you don't touch the kids. You can't spank your child nowadays either. It's like, if you do, you're going to jail. I think we turned out pretty good. Again, I've never seen a generation like this, and when these kids are old enough to start really being involved, I'm probably going to be dead, and it's probably a good damn thing. And when I mean getting involved, I'm talking about, politically, when they're up old enough, because you got to think, in 30 years, some of these kids will be old enough to probably run for president and everything else, and I'll be 91, which I'm sure my life will be done by then. I'll have expired. I honestly think these kids need a reality check. That's the better word. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, I'm so frustrated. I can't even think straight sometimes when I'm thinking about it. All right, we're putting a CarQuest 1 on, and the part number is a 11573 Alpha, and I hope it works. It's harder putting the alternator in than it is taking it out, to be honest with you. On the engine, there's a bracket like this. You gotta get the alternator up, over, and around that bracket. All right, while I got the alternator loose, I'm gonna go ahead and put the electrical on. Like I said, I always leave it a little bit loose, just easier to to move things around, to maneuver things around. I'm tongue-tied today. My son smoked some chicken wings or chicken legs this weekend. And my son, you heard me talk about him before, these gloves gotta go. That is a smoking fool. He has come up with a group of seasonings, and they're not his. He gets them from Meat Church. I'm sure you guys know who he is. He's all over the internet. And that guy, his seasons, he gets a blend and he puts them 2 or 3 different ones together, and it's like, oh my gosh. All right, we're gonna get a little extension or a swivel head stick on here, and I'm gonna maneuver it that way. I think it'd be a little bit easier. I know you guys heard me say it a million times when you're going back with electrical stuff, working with starters and alternators and things like that, don't use your electric ratchet to put it back together. It's okay to use it, take it apart, but when you're putting it back together, you don't need to it'll over torque it, you crack it, then you gotta take the bitch back out. While it's still loose, go ahead and get the bracket on there. And it looks to me that the bracket is, this bracket serves 2 purposes. It holds the alternator on, and it allows you to bolt this connector to it. And by looking at it, I can almost guarantee that they did not, in fact I will guarantee they did not have them bolt here because I didn't take one out. So we're going to try to find something to go there. How the hell did it come off? Well, that's the next question. I think it was like this. Yes, I do. I got this mic down by my mouth. Probably sound like a freaking horse breathing, probably. They took that bitch out and didn't put a bolt back in here. Sons of bitches. Alright, we are kicking ass now. We're gonna go back with the German specs on this good and tight. Alright, let's get this belt back on there. Well, that was too easy. Something's gotta be off. Nope. We looking good. Alright, record time, right? Let me find a bolt. I'm gonna cut you guys off for a minute. I'm gonna find a bolt, put back here because they didn't, whoever did the job last didn't put a bolt there. And that harness is just flopping around and we don't want that. Alright, so I'm thinking this will work just fine. That's what I'm thinking anyway. No, it's too freaking small, you dog. Alright, I found a bolt over there in the freaking bolt rack after 20 minutes of looking. But, gotta have it, you know what I'm saying? It's one of them things, gotta have it. There's definitely a lot of oil down inside here. This thing has been tripping for a while. Surprising went through so many damn alternators without checking it. And voila, the alternator is installed. All right, let me get it started up. We'll get the battery hook back up. We'll get it started up. We'll throw the meter on there and let's just see what it's reading. And keep our fingers crossed that this is a good aftermarket alternator because I have seen them out of the box bad. I'd have rather gone back with a new one. Red to the positive, what are we looking at? 12.2. Let's see 13, that's all I want to see. 13.5, 14, whatever, something. All right, you guys are seeing it before I'm seeing it. Keep our fingers crossed, we got a good alternator, right? 13.9, let's see if it sits like that because remember last time I ran for a little bit and then that went down to shit. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna look down in here and see, can I see where that oil's leaking at? Make sure, cause I'm hoping I can just replace the upper half of that housing. 14.9 and holding, baby. All right, let's see where it's leaking in. For those of you who don't know, when you cut yourself, the best way to clean it is to get a dirty rag, put some brake clean on it and wipe over top of it like that. That actually will, don't listen to me. That's how I do it. Get a rag, brake clean and wipe over top. And that way it'll take care of any infection. That's how I do it. Don't do as I do. You do as your doctor tells you to do. Heck yeah, 14.1. So it's the upper part of this housing that's leaking. See, can I get you in there a little bit to look at it? That housing right here is a two-part housing. If I was to replace the whole thing, you actually have to take off the valve cover, the upper intake, the valve cover, and go in that way. It's just the upper half that's leaking, so we're gonna put on just the upper half. That'll help save the guy a little bit of money anyway. The easiest way to do it is we're gonna unplug the two sensors. One sensor here, and one sensor here. Really can't move it. All right, so now I need the bolt I just put in there for the wiring harness. We're gonna have to take it back out because I need to get a little more room in here to get that sensor out. All right, that way I can get this at least this far out of the way. So probably not necessary, but I'm going to take off this bracket right here because I want to be able to come straight up with this without a lot of aggravation, and I don't want this bracket in the way. I mean, again, it's something I'm doing. You don't have to do it if you don't want to do it. Just don't want anything in the way. I want to be able to go straight on with this piece. And if you look, they are different sizes. So kind of pay attention when you're taking it apart. No, it's just 3 bolts. Sitting here doing something else, not paying attention to what I was doing. One bolt I took out was for the sensor. You all right over there, Danny? Sound like he's hacking on a bone. So it's just gonna be 3 bolts. And out of the 3, only one of them's longer, and it's pretty obvious which one it is. So see, when the sensor comes off, there's the top half, there's the gasket here. There's also a bottom half to it. If you get a little pick, you can go right here and just pick it off. Okay, I'm gonna try and pick it off without losing it. And this is the bottom half to it. Well, half of it stayed in there, but there's a gasket here that I want to replace. And it's got a screen in it. Let me show it to you. This is the one that's most likely leaking on yours. So I'm not really sure where the camera cut off, but there's a gasket with a screen on it, and look how brittle it is. It's just, I mean, you just pull it apart. You can feel the dryness in it. That's most likely where your leak's coming from. So we're gonna replace just those 2 gaskets, the plate, because this gasket is under a plate. I'm not sure if you saw that or not in the video because it did cut off on me. All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna replace the whole upper half of this along with this. All right, so I'm gonna clean the hell out of it right now. And then we're gonna start this bad boy up and keep our eyes on it. All right, right there is where it was dumping out at. Right above the dipstick tube. And on a side note, we are still charging. We're at 14.4. Sweet. So this is the, I think I said the fourth or fifth alternator. I have to go back and look. Unfortunately, I have to charge him for it because I can't warranty someone else's work. But I am going to give him a bill showing what we did, what we found, and what the cause was, along with pictures that I took. So he can go back to that shop and hopefully get some money back and hopefully recover some of his money. The moral of the story is, if you're doing a job like this, whether it's an alternator or a starter or anything you're doing, and you have a part that failed, take a second, look at the surroundings, look around it and see if anything is bad, if you have oil leaks, if you have frayed wires or whatever it is you're doing. Just look around. Don't be so literal and say, I'm replacing this part that's in front of me and that's all I'm going to do. Now take a second and look around, because if that shop or whatever, one or two shops or whatever it was at this time, I can't remember now, if they would have taken time to look and see why they were on their third or fourth alternator, I mean, they would have seen the problem. They would have fixed it. It had been done. This guy wouldn't have had to gone through all these issues. All right, well, that being said, this job is done. I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Catch you later.